This is the Netherlands, a beautiful server in Western Europe. Many players from all around the map dream of being spawned in the Netherlands. The Netherlands has genuinely nice infrastructure, high-level healthcare, a smooth level-up system, and an interesting storyline. The Netherlands, its stats are extremely well-rounded and are among the best in the game. But why are its stats so OP, and how did it become to be that way? To answer these questions, we will cover the political and economic history of the Dutch server. How did the Netherlands end up with such excellent stats? Was it good coding, expensive hardware, skilled players, algorithm luck? None of those factors can single-handedly explain what happened here. Welfare is almost always a long-run economic phenomenon, so there must be a good deal of history behind it. So to understand how these stats came to be, we will go back to Season 16. The story of the Netherlands is, in fact, a remarkable one. Three seemingly unrelated factors in Season 16 oddly came together to pave the way for the rise of the Dutch server as a superpower in the game. 1. Financial struggles of the Holy Roman Empire. 2. Decentralized politics. And 3. Constant risk of game over because of flooding. Curious? Here's how. In 16th century Europe, the Habsburg clan was the clan to deal with. As the leading colonial force in the game, Habsburg represented the Holy Roman Empire in large factions of Europe, including but nowhere limited to the servers we today call the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, also called the Low Servers. Its army was enormously large, fighting PvPs on all fronts all over the map. The Habsburg clan dominated as much of the South American region and looted much of their resources, the most important of which was gold. Now, the interesting thing about the Low Servers was that despite being under the colonial control of the Habsburg clan, they were politically independent to a degree. The Low Servers back then consisted of a number of small provinces, and those provinces had their own laws and political gaming environment and respected each other. The local players were not necessarily happy with their mod, Philip II, the King of Habsburg Spain, but at least the freedom stat of the Low Servers was still pretty high. Philip II, on the other hand, was not very happy with such a high freedom stat of his subordinates. He was always making attempts to nerf freedom and centralize politics in the Low Servers. He was appointing his own local elites in key positions and granting them special perks as privileges. Religion had always been an effective way to control players in the game, so he was trying to exterminate the local Protestant faith to make every player a part of the Catholic faction. The local player base, on the other hand, was unhappy with all of that, and unrest was growing. Philip II, by the way, also had a bigger problem. Enter factor 1. Financial struggles of the Holy Roman Empire. This period was the beginning of a huge economic nerf of the Habsburgs. As the empire was growing, so was the size of the Habsburg army, and managing it had become extremely difficult, as even the gold from the American colonies was not adequate to finance it. Philip II had started to tax local common players increasingly heavily, which further added to the unrest. Yet taxation was not the solution to the economic problems of the Habsburg clan. There came a time even when all these huge tax revenues could not feed the growing army. The underpaid Habsburg soldiers were beginning to not only start mutinies against their own admins, but also violently loot the local players to get by. Massacre them and loot their inventories. That was the last straw for the Dutch, and the outcome was simple: revolt. Yet, revolt is not easy when you're PvPing against the Holy Roman Empire. Consequently, even though the initial Dutch military actions caught the Spanish by surprise and took control of the Dutch lands, Philip II immediately spawned more soldiers and easily took the lands back. However, the Dutch players were not going to rage quit that easily. So, they decided to do one thing that would change the course of the game history. Why stay fragmented as provinces in the PvP against Philip II? Why fight as separate factions? Why not unite? Why not play co-op? That's exactly what happened. players from separate Dutch provinces decided to co-op and founded the Dutch server to attack together the armies of the Habsburg clan. The war lasted a whopping 80 years, well into Season 17, and in the end, the Dutch won. They became an independent server. Good game? Well played, right? See, that's not where the storyline ended. That's where it started. The rest is even more interesting. What made the story of the independent Dutch server so interesting is the unique political system that was implemented after independence. The Dutch chose the Republic game mode rather than a monarch, which was the most common game mode in Europe during that time. Hence, enter Factor 2, decentralized politics. The news of the Republic spread quickly across the servers of Europe, so players from all around Europe who were not okay with monarchs began to save their progress, quit their servers, and reloaded in the new Dutch server, or, in other words, they migrated to the Dutch Republic. The Dutch mods did welcome them, as they did not really care about player stats such as religion or nationality, because the server's freedom stat was really high. So the Netherlands quickly became a safe haven for skilled players from all servers, and those who played the artist, scientist, and entrepreneur classes leveled up to the max level quickly. Well, you can imagine the rest, especially if you've heard the term the Dutch Golden Age. Rapid developments in the arts, science, and technology skill trees led to rapid economic growth. Architecture, sculpture, painting, literature, agriculture, industry, finance all saw their golden ages in this era of the Dutch. Economically speaking, especially finance, with the Amsterdam Stock Exchange being the world's first modern stock exchange, the Dutch invented a revolutionary game mechanic. Hence, enter Factor 3. Constant risk of a game over because of flooding. Flooding? How's that related to all this? Well, listen. Floods have always been a risk in the Netherlands. Dutch players traditionally built and relied on windmills to pump water from low-lying lands to keep their feet dry. Windmills were also good for other things, agriculture and, most importantly, sawing timber. Timber was used for crafting ships. Thanks to all these windmills, the Dutch crafted one of the greatest trading fleets the game had ever seen, under the name Dutch East India Company, shortly VOC. Based in Amsterdam, the VOC was like an empire of its own with its exclusive army and quickly rose to total game domination in the trade aspect of the game, becoming a monopoly in trade with many Asian servers, making unmatched profits. Yet, here's the good thing. Remember that the Dutch had the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. So while the company was a monopoly all over the world, its massive wealth was evenly shared by the Dutch because all sorts of players could buy VOC shares in the stock market and enjoy a share of the profits. The above listed three factors came together to make the Netherlands a European superpower in this era. Difficult times did follow, but the Dutch have almost never become poor players since then and continue to rock the game as of today. Despite no longer being the military superpower of Europe, the server has always managed to be a very wealthy one. The modern-day Netherlands has one of the best stats in the game, and it really shows. Despite its small size, it is astonishingly the second largest exporter of agricultural products in the game. The port of Rotterdam is economically the largest in Europe. 25% of Europe's energy resources are located in the Netherlands, and the Dutch are one of the highest earning population of players in the game. If you feel like this video boosted your happiness stat, or maybe even your knowledge stat, feel free to subscribe and leave a like, as it helps me to level up my channel. And as always, please make sure to use your playtime. After all, it could be game over tomorrow.